Just a few things I'll tell you. People join this session right through. Yeah, I have seen sessions people join at 8:59 p.m.
That's okay.
as
I've
well.
done it too, so I know.
We will take care of getting people into the session, so you don't have to worry about it. And we'll also shortly talk about how to people to ask questions and interact with the speaker and the host. Also, I'll cover that in a few minutes. So what I'm going to do now is first run through this four-slide presentation for those who might be new to the session, so they know how this whole thing works, and then we will get started with the session itself. Okay. So today is Saturday, November 26th. Welcome to the CEG C-Level Connect series number 17. A few guidelines before we start the program. I would request all the participants to stay muted during the fireside chat session. We don't want any external noise to disturb the discussion. And for all other participants, please turn off your video. We can conserve bandwidth, otherwise it will be a little bit bandwidth challenge. So please turn off your video. Stan and I will have our videos on. I will be turning off my video after some time, so it will be only be Stan with the video after that. This entire session is recorded. We are recording the session from beginning to end, and the recording of the session will be available in our public YouTube channel, CEG Connect, in about a few days after we do the basic editing and all that. And this YouTube channel, CEG Connect, you go to YouTube and look CEG Connect. We have the recording of all the past, I think out of the 16 sessions, we have a recording of 15 sessions. One session with Dr. Surappa, he wanted us to not publish. Except that, everything else is available in the past sessions as well. During this course of the session, if you have any question, you can use the Slido program. And I will talk momentarily about how Slido works. So we introduce Slido as well. And there will be, in addition to that, there will be periodic live polls in Slido, where as a host, I can push some real-time polls to get feedback from the audience live, real-time. And Slido is also used for participants to post their question for the speaker, which San, if you open slido.com, you will also be able to see the same questions that I'm seeing, and you can watch the questions as well. But I will ask the question on behalf of the speaker, and I'll ask them to unmute themselves and ask the question so that you can hear it directly from them. And during the question answer session, if your name is called, please unmute and open your video and please ask your question. So today's guest speaker is Miss San Banerjee. San insists I had to call her San and not Sangeeta, so I am giving in to her request and calling her San. So Miss San Banerjee, guest speaker, CEG 1999 EEE graduate, co-founder and CEO of ADDA. You have the LinkedIn profile for you to see. I am the host, and Partha, my friend, is the technical support. Today's Slido session, all you have to do is to go to any browser in the laptop, desktop, mobile, or tablet and type slido.com. And once you have slido.com, see the code here, 7455562. You can enter that code in that box that comes in that portal. And then once you enter that, you'll get to the screen. As you can see from the screen, you will have a Q&A tab and a polls tab. In the Q&A tab, you can type your question anytime during the session. And if you tab on to the polls tab, you will see the real-time polls I'm publishing. Right now, there is one question I've already pushed in the poll, asking all of you to tell us which city and country you are joining from. This is something I collect for statistic purposes to know who's joined and how many joined and etc. All that. Slido is a free software available for us to use for this particular session. Okay. Any questions from anyone? Yes.
Vish, I have a question. Any specific reason for disabling video? Because it's nice to see people when talking.
We can. The only thing is what we have noticed in some sessions, the video gets bandwidth gets occupied, and some people are not able to, have breaks in their video and all that. If they have a good bandwidth, then I don't have any. I had sessions with about 70, 80 people, and there's no problem because I have a very high bandwidth. Some people have not so high bandwidth, particularly people who are on mobile elsewhere. They say that the session gets disconnected if you have very high number of users. But you can see all of them. What I will ask is that maybe towards the end or something, I'll ask everyone to open the video. You can see and take a picture or something like that. We can do that. We can do that. We can do that. Definitely do that. Okay, so I'm going to close my sharing now, and then we will go on to San. So again, Sangeeta, welcome to the session today. Thank you for joining. It's good that you are able to take the time to join on a Saturday evening. I know Saturday evenings aren't exactly time for joining a WebEx or a web call, but gratefully you're able to join. So what we're going to do is the first 10 minutes, and we want to ask you to describe your journey from the time you left CEG to where you are now. Some of my speakers wanted to talk about even the time before they joined CEG. If there is anything significant you want to do, the purpose of this monologue session is basically for you to uh, talk to us about your life experience and highlight significant learnings, experiences that you would like to uh, tell people, particularly those who are junior, students and junior alumni, and every alumni for that matter, so that they can see the context of your learning and experience and how they can apply. So normally I give my guest about 15 minutes, but I have seen guests take anywhere from 10 minutes to 45 minutes. I try not to interrupt because when they have their storytelling, I don't want to interrupt. But if it goes beyond 30, I will give you a little nudge saying that, and then you can decide how you want to take it. But 15 to 20 minutes would be definitely perfect. Anything more, if you need it, you can take it until 30 minutes, and then we'll go on to the Q&A and the chat session after that. Okay.
Sure.
So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you to give your life story from either from the time you left CEG or even prior to that, whichever is appropriate, and focus on the learnings and significant experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Vish. And above all, thank you so much for doing this C Connect series. I have gained a lot from it by participating in various sessions, and I'm honored to be, uh, a speaker in this session today. So thank you so much to you and Partha. Okay, I will start a little bit before CEG, as in how I landed in CEG, because as my last name says, it is not very obvious. I am not born in Tamil Nadu. So in my 11th standard, my father got transferred to Chennai. So I was in Kendriya Vidyalayas IIT Madras. And it was a huge shock to me because education in Tamil Nadu was a lot more important than what it was in West Bengal, right? So in my Kendriya Vidyalaya in West Bengal, we were on chapter 4 of the 11th standard, whereas in my IIT Chennai Kendriya Vidyalaya, it was done, all syllabus done. People have started revision, right? So it was a huge shock in my entire education journey. But I loved it because I loved learning. And so one thing led to another, and I landed up in CEG. Okay. Now, after CEG, I got into the campus interview like a lot of my friends. I got into TCS and had that very nice 3 month training in Trivandrum. And then I got into mainframe. I had no idea that I should be asking for Java or anything like that. I was like, just go with the flow. First campus interview, TCS, sit, got it. What is the project they've given you? This, do it. Only thing is that I was placed in Delhi. I did not like Delhi, so I requested to put me back in Chennai, which happened thankfully. So 3 years in TCS, and I realized that I love coding, but I don't want to do it for much longer because I preferred more interaction with people. And that's when I was very clear that I wanted to pursue MBA. I had earlier written CAT and failed 3 times, while I was doing it side by side along with TCS. So I realized that I'm not going to get into IIM, so drop that. So I did GMAT and I got admit in LSU in US, Louisiana State University. At the same time, I got married to Venkat, who's today my life partner and business partner. So Venkat is triple 98, and he had also joined TCS and he was doing MS in the same school, LSU. That's why I chose it as well. So yeah, so I started doing my MBA in US, and again campus interview. I got into Capgemini. I did a bit of a hack there because Capgemini does not come to LSU to hire MBA, so they only come to hire engineers, computer engineers. So I just selected computer engineering as my major just to get a leg in the door into the interview because I was very clear I wanted MBA, but in the technology line. But all the people who were coming to higher MBA in Louisiana were from oil or energy background. They were not from technology. So I just said that, okay, God, please forgive me this once. I'm going to misrepresent my major just to get an interview. So the interview did happen, and I did get selected in Capgemini. And they put me on Pakka Consulting. What I mean is that Monday morning I fly out to another state, Minnesota or anything else. Monday to Thursday, I work there at the client site. Thursday evening, I fly back into. I was living in Chicago that time, and Friday, Saturday, Sundays at home. So this went on for a year, and I don't know how consulting is now, but that time we were hosted in Ritz Carltons and Marriott's. So Monday through Thursday, you get really good VIP treatment, and I come back home and there are cockroaches running around in my home because I come back dead tired. I just don't have I just sleep. I come back and sleep. And same thing, Venkat was also in a very hectic work. We were earning very well, obviously, and that way things would have looked very successful, but we were not happy. And we were unable to bring our family in, visa issues, and all that stuff. And that was the time. So this was around 2005, 2005, 2006. There was a lot of talk of India shining and all that. I think Vajpayee was prime minister that time. And sitting there, we were like, man, what is it that's not in India that, we have to sit here? And we always wanted to solve problems, okay? But in US, we found that most of the easy problems are solved, okay? Now, the hard ones are like climate change and, gun control and all, which is something we didn't know how to, really contribute to. So, but every time we would visit India, we are like, oh my God, there's so many easy problems that we can solve, right? So one thing led to another, and we made up our mind to relocate back. And both of us were pretty. It was not like one person wanted, another was pushing. Both of us were very clear. So we relocated back in 2006, and Venkat continued his job in Thoughtworks here. They gave him a transfer, and I switched to SAP. So for 2-3 years, we were working there in our respective MNC. Um, then we purchased an apartment in this apartment community we still live in. It's a 165 unit apartment complex. And we were the sixth family that moved into the apartment complex. So by default, we were part of all those discussions with the developer that, when will you complete the road inside the community? When will the pool be ready, etc., etc. Every Saturday, Sunday, we were sitting together with that early families who again became part of management committee, obviously. Every Saturday, Sunday, we are sitting on these discussions of basic things, right? Which housekeeping agency, how do we collect from the owners the maintenance charges? How do we do the accounting? Who does it? How and all that? And to me it was like, okay, so there must be some software which we put it together, which has all these processes in it. We just configure them, and we know what to do, because none of us had a background. We were all software engineers. We had no idea how elevator works. We had no idea how generator, even though I'm an electrical engineer, I was not too clear hands on that how the power is being distributed inside the community. What are the compliances that are required, the electrical compliances that are required for a building, for a structure, residential structure. So my thought was that there must be a system like SAP. I was with SAP. I was like, there must be a mini SAP that we, activate, we configure, and, we learn from it. What are the best practices, and we manage. So we Googled, and there was Common Floor. And Common Floor aimed to become the Facebook of apartment complexes. They wanted to activate communication within neighbors, which is fine because it was started by college freshers, and they were tenants. So their thing was that why isn't there a dedicated communication channel within neighbors? This was pre-WhatsApp, obviously. This is even pre-Facebook. This was like 2008 when Yahoo groups and Google groups, those email groups, were being used by communities. So there will be owners only Yahoo group, owner and tenant Yahoo group, MC Yahoo group. It was like that. So we thought that, what, let us start with something very simple, which just has a help desk. So everyone's requests and all are collected in a organized fashion and taken care of. Secondly, let us take care of collecting the maintenance charges, like making it very transparent who needs to pay how much to the association and why, how they need to make payment, and that they get a transparency into who are the defaulters and all that. We really hated the fact that sometimes one of us had to go door to door to tell a owner that, look, you have not paid last 3 months maintenance. That's really not our job. So this is how ApartmentADDA started. And Venkat took a sabbatical from ThoughtWorks in order to code it. I continued to work with SAP. And while working with SAP, the good thing was that I had to meet, so I was a salesperson, right? So any startup, I think, starts with a maker and a seller. So Venkat was obviously the maker. He just loves to code. So and he did his MS also in high performance computing, and I was a seller. And thankfully, the people who were our customers are management committee members of the association, and they only meet on Saturday, Sunday. So for me, Saturday, Sunday is chutti from SAP. So I used to every Saturday, Sunday go out and meet the management committee members. So that went on for a year. I think we would have got some 3 or 4 customers to start with. But of course, the first check is always accelerating, right? Like now I'm talking about it like 4 to 5 customers is nothing, but that one first customer who believes in you is huge. And yeah, so I quit SAP, joined full time. One of our neighbors, Ashika, who's our COO, she joined in the same into ApartmentADDA, and we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how associations work, and there is no standards how companies work. If you want to find out, you read up MCA, you read up the accounting standards, you know it. But if you go out looking for the same thing about associations, there was absolutely no content. So we started digging, talking to few accountants who audit apartment complexes, etc., talking to many management committees, and we started building those contents. And that was also the time SEO, etc., got started, and this content was gold. So we used to get a lot of inbound leads thanks to this knowledge that we were sharing. Second problem was that how do we find our customers? Because if you are somebody selling CRM, sales CRM, you will look for sales head, you will look for business development head, CMOs maybe also, right? And you can find them on things like LinkedIn, etc. For us, people do not put on LinkedIn that I'm the secretary of this apartment complex or treasurer or management committee. You don't see that. So how do we target our customers? We were completely at a loss. We were bootstrapped. We could not like put it out in newspaper that if you are running an association, talk to us, we have a software for you. So we thought, okay, if not software, what else is bothering them? And around 2009 2010, it was water. Bangalore was reeling under water issues. They were purchasing water at very high price from water tankers. Even if they can pay, they were not getting water. So we said, let's do a water workshop only for management committees. So we say that if you are a resident in an apartment complex, then this is not for you. You please ask your management committee to attend. So that way, we got a lot of management committees in one room, and a few others also partnered with us, like Citizen Matters. We go long back in our partnership with them. Rainwater harvesting, Mr. Vishwanathan, etc. And so in that, 5% of that workshop we talked about Adda, ApartmentADDA. But that did wonders for us because that got us on newspapers, the Nationals, Deccan Herald, etc. And they are like software company helps water woes in Bangalore and things like that. So that was a marketing hack we did to get to the right eyeballs. So things grew from there. We realized that South India was very much behind when it comes to standards of managing association. Maharashtra was way ahead. So Maharashtra, we used to get a lot of inbound queries, but people were not buying. We were traveling a lot to understand what they needed, but people were not buying. Then we realized that their association management is way ahead. In Bangalore, in Chennai, your maintenance invoice will have one line item, maximum 2 line items, like maintenance fund, reserve fund. In Mumbai, invoices will have 17 to 20 line items. Lift charges, managers' fees, common area electricity. They often give complete transparency towards what your maintenance charges to be paid and things like that. They have dedicated accountants who are certified to audit associations. You don't need chartered accountants who are, more expensive for associations to audit. So Venkat and I decided, let's relocate. We will move from Bangalore to Mumbai, live there for 2 to 3 years, learn how things work and absorb it in the product. So here we are in this 3 BHK, and we moved to a 1 BHK in Mumbai because that is the rent to rent comparison, right? So the amount of things we threw away, right? I mean, it was very spiritual experience for us. And I got major help from my mother-in-law because you know how it is for parents to see kids going in their financial ups and downs. This was obviously a down, very visibly down. In fact, Vish also visited us in that 1 bedroom apartment, right? So yeah, so we went through that. And in 3 years, Adda did so well in Mumbai. We moved finally, in the third year, which was our last year in Mumbai, we were in an apartment which is much bigger than what we had in Bangalore. We moved from 1 to 3 BHK within 3 years. So yeah, then fundraise happened from angels, and uh, we came back to Bangalore because in Mumbai we were not finding enough coders. And then we realized that the India market was getting very crowded and not with the right kind of competition, which takes a software forward, right? So we decided it's time to go international, and we went to Dubai. That was a great hit. This was in 2017, and then we went to Mauritius and Singapore. That was also great. And so today we are there in 4 countries. There are about 1 million plus paying users, and about 2,500 apartment communities use Adda. Many of them are, very high-end communities, special purpose communities. There are some which are, those farming communities and things like that. Very interesting kind of residential and commercial communities that use Adda. And our goal is to become the global choice of software whenever you want to manage any type of residential community. Am I within time, Vish?
You're doing okay. You have a few more minutes. Yeah, you have it in time. Keep
Okay.
going.
Yeah. I think that's the history.
Okay, super. Very nice. Very nice. So, couple of things I want to start off with a question before I leave it to the audience, which is what I do regularly with all my speakers. Is you had an experience going from working in a company to starting your own business, which is a typical journey most entrepreneurs take, where they work for some time, get experience, and get there. What learning can you share in terms of how the experience was? Migrating from working for a company with a steady salary and a steady income with a cushy job, as you described, 5-star hotel treatment, to becoming a startup. How was the initial experience, and how would you advise people who consider doing that?
See, there are several aspects of it. First of all, the financial aspect. I think the fact that we worked for a solid 8-9 years before starting our startup, some part of it in US, really helped us with that financial backing, to go without salary for 2-3 years, even pay some of the early employees with our savings, right? Go all in. So I think that really helped us. Secondly, frugality comes very natural to people in my generation, at least, right? Of course, your generation, our generation, frugality comes easily. So I don't think it's hard to, get used to a very high lifestyle and then take a step backward into a lot more frugal lifestyle. To us, it was a very natural transition that time. And working in good MNCs also shows us what are the processes that we want to, put in place in our startup, what all we do not want in the startup, right? So that was also very useful. Where TCS, when I had joined, they were going through the CMM level 5 certification, right? So that DNA that got into me of automating, of repeatable processes, maturity in processes really, really helped us from day one in running a bootstrapped company and being ready to go bootstrapped anytime, right? And still have revenues coming in and things like that. Keeping the team super lean, getting as much of software as possible from day one, right? So I think that was excellent. I would not do it any other way. Like if somebody said, if you had got this idea right out of, if you came out of college and got this idea, would you do it? I don't think so.
Super. Excellent. The other question I had is that, being a woman entrepreneur, being a woman employee, forget woman entrepreneur, itself is not as easy as it is for men all over the world. It's not any one country. Every country has the same challenge. And being a woman entrepreneur is one more step challenging than being a woman employee. And when you go to these investors looking for funds, what is your experience working with them in terms of how do these investors and mentors look at you, knowing that you are a woman and you are starting something very young age, etc., all that? Any learning, any experience that you want to share in that? A lot of women are also watching the show. That's why I want them to. A lot of prospective entrepreneurs are also watching the show right now, and will watch in the YouTube session as well. So this is a question that a lot of people have their mind that they want to ask as well.
See, it is all my personal learnings that I'm a bit biased towards men. I feel men often encourage women more than women encourage women is what I've noticed. See, between my parents, between my mom and dad, of course, both have great hand in what I am. But it was always my father was like, just let her go to school by herself from third standard, where I have to, cross the Hooghly River, go to Calcutta from Howrah and things like that. My mother was always afraid, oh my God, what about the safety? You don't consider her as a girl, we need to be extra cautious about her safety and security. He's like, I don't care. To me, he's like, she's like another boy. I mean, to me, it's as good as the same thing. Let her figure it out like how a boy figures it out, right? Let her just go by herself. I think that really mattered a lot to me. That from day one, my father never saw me any different from a boy. And generally, over time, I've not faced discrimination for being a woman. In fact, whenever I have gone by myself asking for certain things that a woman requires, for example, when I had my son, I was in SAP and I wanted to go back to work even before the maternity break gets over. That time it was 3 months maternity break. By the first month itself, I was bugged. I'm like, I need intellectual discussion. I don't want to be keep staring at a baby who doesn't even smile at me all day. And there was no Netflix and Amazon Prime that time. I want to get back to work. And I told my boss, okay, 1 month over, please, I'm going to come back to work. He said, no, I'll be, taken to task by HR. We'll get into trouble. You sit at home. So 3 months got over and I was back to office. But it was very important for me to continue breastfeeding my son. So I got this, the pumping machine, but there was no nursing room at all in SAP. So when I spoke to HR, they said, okay, no problem, there is that doctor's room, doctor hardly comes there, you use that, right? So they made space for me, right? So I have always felt that if we to go out asking for anything specific that we being women require in the right way, not being like an act, oh, how come you don't have it, you are not sensitized or whatever. I have seen that people being quite cooperative in such cases. There are some obvious things, like even today, if I go to meet a customer with the head of sales who reports to me, right, the customer will by default talk to him and talk and not to me. They will usually assume I'm the junior, he's the senior, right? Being a man, that happens until I present my visiting card, right? So I think those are a few stereotypes which I hope are gradually changing, but I've really not felt any major setback. In fact, today I think there are so many women specific funds and support that are available for women entrepreneurs. It's really encouraging.
Super. Thanks. Last question from me before I turn it over to the audience is, if you were to be talking to a bunch of CEG students now, in saying that, okay, guys, you're going to graduate very soon, what kind of skills that you would want them to learn? Uh, could be technical skills, could be social skills, could be communication, whatever skills they are. What kind of skills that you would think they should be getting now, which would make them eligible, employable, useful to an employer like yourself?
See, I believe by the time we come out of college, especially with a professional degree, communication skills often talked about, but I don't think understood enough, is very important, in the sense conveying exactly what is in my mind to you using this limited thing called language. That I feel is the most important skill that all of us must have. Everything else, we collect on the way. But I find many of us who study in India are extremely limited when it comes to articulation, which I find great proficiency when it comes to native English speakers and all that. When I hear them speak, I'm like, wow, I am exactly reading your mind, the way that you are conveying, the choice of words you have, right, the intonations you have, etc., right? So I think that is very important, where today I believe we rework a lot because the communication does not happen well enough between the business owners and the engineering owners and so on, right? So I would really stress on that one piece of getting our communication skills as perfected as possible, and
Yeah.
it's an ongoing learning anyway.
And in terms of technical skills, what would be, in your opinion, things that people should learn or get now which could be useful for the next 5 years in the technology industry?
See, I really don't think that way because it's all about unlearning and learning fast. And that's what our engineering degree does it anyway, right? 4 years, what we do is to how to quickly understand few concepts good enough for us to, clear those exams and all that stuff and be ready to completely forget it. And, you're an electrical engineer, you forget everything you learned about circuit theory, etc. And, you learn coding quickly, right? So I think that learning unlearning is something that 4 years of engineering anyway gives us, right? And then yes, being very, very open, putting in those hard work in order to learn today. So much out there is there on the internet to learn, which was not there when I graduated in 2009. Google was just there, Google search engine, and it was the most miraculous thing that had happened. So I don't think of any specific technology skills as such.
You're talking about Google not being there when you graduated. When we graduated, there is no internet actually. I When I went to the US in 1987, we didn't have mobile phone. We didn't have a landline phone at home. We didn't have any email or WhatsApp or nothing. The only way your parents know that you actually reached there is 48 hours later when you get someone to make a call on your behalf to let them know, right? So from there to where it is now, it's a phenomenal development. So we're going to go over to the audience questions, and I'm going to pick the question and ask them to ask the question themselves. So, Mr. Ramakrishnan, would you like to please unmute and open your video and ask your question?
Thank you. See the SAN, we have been using Adda earlier, and the builder handed over to the association, and the association went for Mygate. So the last, I think 1.5 years, I'm using only Mygate. So what I found was, I have one question. One is, who are your competitors and what is your market share? And the other point I want to make is, I always look from an ERP angle. Okay, in the same way, when a customer or when a resident or visitor enters an apartment through the gate, till the resident or visitor leaves the gate, all activities should be monitored by the software. I find many gaps in both the software. Yes, that two questions.
Did you get the questions, San?
I got it. Yes. First is who are our competitors? So, Mr. Ramakrishnan, globally, our competitors are ERD and Appfolio, right? So they are the top property management or community management SaaS globally. Then we have different local competitors, and we have different competitors in Singapore, and different in Dubai, different in Mauritius. There is no overlap between these competitors, and Yardi and Appfolio are primarily in US. There are very few software you would see that have been able to apply globally. We are probably the only software that is present in these many countries, because managing residential communities has a very local specific flavor and rules and compliances. So in India, our competitors are Mygate, No Brokerhood, and Apna Complex. Okay. Now, all these three software do not have software as their main business. They have other revenue focuses. For example, Apna Complex and No Brokerhood have revenue focus as property management, right? Software is a way for them to get into, the apartment complexes for obvious benefits. Mygate started out as a software, visitor management software, but after several rounds of fundraise, they started giving the software as well as devices free of cost, and they started focusing more on, omni-channel advertising. So basically, monetizing the user base. Adda stands apart here, as in we run on subscription model. You pay us and we give you the software. And our focus lies heavily on how the property that the builder has built is not well maintained just for 10 years to 30 years, and then you demolish, rebuild, which is a huge cost. But how your property can be very well maintained for 50, 100 years, right? And it can be done. Unfortunately, in India, associations are self-managed. What I mean is that management committee members like yourself are themselves doing a lot of things hands-on. You are sitting and evaluating vendors. You are, overseeing the accounting and all that stuff. This is not so outside India. Majority of associations are professionally managed, where they are companies called owners association management companies who manage the community on behalf of the MC. The MC, or the management committee, is like a board of directors. They just preside or sit on meetings that happen on a quarterly or an annual basis, right? So we are focused on really making it a very professional ERP. And you are right, there would be a lot of aspects that we still have to build, right? And that is what keeps our tech team excited. There are amazing developments that are happening when it comes to complexity of residential communities, the kind of amenities that are there, the smart home features that are there in many communities, etc. And hence our scope of developing technology that becomes the single backbone for the community is also expanding.
So next question, San. I'll just open the question. Uh, Someone anonymous didn't put the name, but if you want to raise the question, at whoever asked the question, at what point did you realize, etc. Whoever has asked the question, can you please unmute and open your video and ask the question, please? So let me ask the question, Sam, since the person is not asking. At what point did you realize that you have taken off with no looking back into the idea? How much did you invest in terms of money, number of years, size of company?
That's a tough question.
Hmm.
I know it's a bit like asking when do you know you've fallen in love with somebody and you want to.
You're saying you don't know?
I don't see, we didn't go out in a very planned manner, like, start with a business plan and know that, okay, you reach this much target revenue and okay, the startup is working. It was a lot of gut feeling, and constantly watching the market. Of course, you can't be in your own echo chamber. So I think getting that first customer to give you a check, not just your friends and family saying, wow, what a great product, right? Getting a customer who is no way related to you to pay for the product is the first proof of the concept.
Hmm.
Um, and also the customer being somebody who knows what they're doing. So our early customers were communities like Palm Meadows, Greenwood Regency, where all these guys are top achievers in their own segments. They know when something is working and or when something is fluff. So these are very discerning prospects that we had early on. So getting those checks from customers, the early 2-3 checks, were a clear indicator that people are willing to pay for this. And the kind of inputs they started giving us when we showed the product, which was maybe 2% of what we have today. Oh, you should build this, oh, this is also our problem, you should have this. So knowing there is a roadmap of the product. I'm just formulating this framework as we talk, right? So one is getting early customers. Second is knowing that the product has a rich roadmap that you can build, right? You, even if you do not have any employees join you, right, between the founding team itself you can build a considerable roadmap, whatever is low hanging, whatever is MVP, right? And thirdly is that, okay, you have the staying power to put in whatever it takes to expand it to maybe the next 20, 30, or whatever customer it takes to provide you your minimum lifestyle, that, okay, even if it remains a founder only company, I am vested enough in this idea so that I can manage with maybe 50,000 a month. I can run the house. So can we reach there with the MVP even before any employees join in, even before investors come in and things like that? So I think those are some of the aspects.
Thank you. So the next question, San, is again an anonymous. Can whoever asked a question about advice to students, can you please unmute and ask your question? So let me ask the question, San, on their behalf. What is your advice to students and young alumni, and what types of skill that we need to find a good career opportunity? I think you already answered this question, right? what is the advice to students and young alumni, and what types of skills that we need to find good career opportunities?
No, I don't think I'm the right person to answer this because I did not plan my career. I just pretty much took what came my way, So pretty naive choices, but I'm happy. I think I was very spiritual early on. Yeah, sorry, I don't think I'm the right
Maybe
person to
maybe that
guide.
is advice. Maybe that is advice. Be spiritual is advice, probably.
Maybe. Yeah. No, but if this is related to starting a business, right? It is
Probably.
it is important that we know ourselves. Okay. There are some youngsters who just have that business DNA in them from get-go, right? Like it. In your class, there are people who can start a business right away and make it scale, etc. They just got it from their previous lifetime or whatever, right? And then there are some of us who know that, no, I do not have that confidence right now. I do not have that, I cannot convince two other people to join me on my crazy idea right now, right? I need to go out, see the world, learn, right? So I think that distinction is important, so that I think that is a choice many people have today in college, is that why don't I just start a company right away? Why do I even have to get a job and work under a boss and things like that? I want to be a boss day one. I think that's a tough choice that many youngsters have today.
Yeah. Talking about career opportunities, I just want to make a small announcement so people know that recently, as you know, in the US in particular, and also in India, a lot of layoffs are happening in big companies like Meta and Amazon and so on and so on. We noticed that a lot of our CEG alumni, younger alumni in particular, got impacted because of the layoffs. And we also know that there are many of our CEG alumni who are recruiting as well. But the challenge is that the people who are recruiting don't know the people who are looking for job and vice versa. So in cegconnect.com, we have created a special tab called career CEG career opportunities, where we are requesting or inviting both people who are looking for opportunities and people who are willing to provide opportunities to come, so they can connect there and hopefully make a good match and get jobs whichever they want. So this is something I want to make sure people understand, because this is something very new we created in the last few days, knowing the feedback from CEG alumni, because a lot of them have reached out to me in the last 1 week asking that they are on a H1 and they are only have 90 days to find a job, and otherwise they had to come back, and is there anyone else who is hiring? And some of our alumni in the west coast of the US are actually hiring now. So if you guys know of anyone who is impacted, please ask them to visit this CG career placement uh, uh, career connect in the cegconnect.com portal, and we'll be able to help them. Okay, going on to the next question, San. The next question is from Kumaraguru. Kumaraguru, do you want to ask your question, please?
Yeah. Um, Thank you
Unmute,
for organizing.
unmute and video and ask your question, please.
Uh, I'll go with just audio. I'm still on in my bed, getting out. It's
Okay,
still
fine.
early morning.
Oh,
Uh,
you're in India. Okay.
yeah, so I didn't want to miss it.
No issues.
The one thing I'm really excited about is actually also something you stressed upon, that early on, connecting and finding the customers in the space was hard because they are the decision makers. And one thing I'm really excited as Adda is doing is like it has brought out these people to light, right? So how are these? Could be like, what are the other opportunities in the space that could be used for maybe upselling, or maybe like partnering? I'm more excited in like energy. So, what are things that Ada is looking at? Maybe that is not directly on your scope, but maybe you'd be willing to partner, or willing to give access to.
Huge scope, Kumaraguru. So, two aspects. One is residential communities have a very high carbon footprint, right? And there is tremendous scope for them to bring impact towards sustainability, climate change. India is actually very well poised for that, again, because it is self-managed. Management committee members themselves are taking a lot of decisions, so they can also take a lot of initiatives. And we actually have a program called the Rise High Award, which recognizes these initiatives taken by management committees in various communities. Okay. And what you said is very right. We wanted what the management committees do to come to the limelight, because these are social leaders. They are creating great impact in their gated community, and many of them outside as well. However, what we observed early on and that motivated us was that many of them feel totally disillusioned at the end of their management committee term because they feel it's a thankless job. First of all, you don't get paid. You sacrifice a lot of your personal time in order to, it's a voluntary effort, but you are maintaining what? You're pretty much maintaining a five-star hotel, right? On a volunteered basis, right? And why should such social leaders feel that it's a thankless job? So via building Adda, our goal is that, hey, not only we'll give them the best tool in their hands to save their time, but we also want to bring limelight to the awesome job they all do. So this whole initiatives that many communities have taken, if you search on our blog with Rise High, you will find many communities have taken energy related initiatives already, right? As simple as replacing all their common area lighting with CFLs and motion sensors, to covering the entire rooftop, the common rooftop, which is completely unused for many high rises, converting the common, covering them with the solar panels and things like that. So honestly speaking, I have not seen such initiatives outside India. The number of initiatives related to sustainability that's taken by residential communities in India by far is the highest, even if you take as a percentage, right? And we are actually putting together a marketplace for these associations to find sustainability related vendors and other vendors, right? I have a very good announcement coming in very soon about somebody we all know who is very well placed in sustainability and citizen activism, who's joining us to build that marketplace together, again a CEGian. So yes, we would love to partner with what you're doing in making that happen.
Super.
Nice.
One more question in the queue. Two more questions actually. San. First question, again, anonymous question about internship. Can that person who asked the question unmute and ask the question, please? A lot of people don't want to ask questions, San. They want to write the question, not ask.
If this person is not asking themselves, no internship for them.
So the the question is, do you offer internship for students and do you mentor startup and entrepreneurs like me? But the person doesn't want to ask the question. What an entrepreneur.
Absolutely yes. Internship, absolutely yes. We obviously we are building new products, new geographies we are opening, and things like the Rise High initiative, and also we are always having internships open. Mentorship, no, because I really don't have bandwidth. I'm not somebody with a. There are people who can do many things and do them all well. I unfortunately am not one of those. So I only focus on my startup.
Okay, super. Thank you. Next, last question. Actually, two more questions. Last question, rather. I think Kumaraguru, you already asked the question. Okay, those are the questions I have on the line, Sam. Both the questions are answered. Unless anybody else has any question, please feel free. If you want to just have an open discussion, that is also fine. So please, whoever wants to ask a question can open your video. In fact, I would ask everyone to actually open your video because San wants to see all the participants, which is a good idea. So if you, all of you guys who are on the line, if you could kindly show your video, we can take a screenshot and put that out there, please. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Rest are in the bed.
Rest aren't in a position to be in the video. Hi, AJB. Hi, AJB.
Hello. Yeah, if we had said no video, then we would have probably brought up the video. Meaning, no photo.
Partha has a gaming chair. Very nice.
Partha, can you just take a screenshot of this video, please? Yeah. Hi, Murli. How are you?
Yeah, done, sir.
Valued. my college until I started my own business, right? Of course, I valued in terms of the degree that, the how much the employer values the degree. But the fact that, knowing who else graduated from CEG, how can I help them, how they can help me, I truly realized after I started my business. Quick example, I went to Dubai to start Adda there. I did not know anyone in Dubai, none of my relatives, friends, nobody's there. So I'm like, definitely CEGians will be here. So I put a post on Facebook saying that, hey, is there a CEG association chapter here? I want to be part of it. Many of them responded, hey, I'm in Dubai, I'm in Abu Dhabi, but yeah, we don't have a chapter. I said, okay, why not create it? Within a day, WhatsApp group, 50 people already there. First get together already arranged, and there is a community. There is a community that can help you find what you want in a foreign country. Repeat of this, Singapore. Okay, so Singapore also, the community really got together due to my selfish reason that I did not know anybody and I badly needed to get all those local hacks in. So yeah, I think you can credit me for starting 2 alumni chapters.
Oh, we're talking about community. Talking about community, the WhatsApp has recently released a feature called the community, actually.
Exactly.
And this, interestingly, WhatsApp has only released this in India. They have not released it in the US yet, interestingly. And so we have created a CEG community. And what a WhatsApp community does, for those of you who don't know how it works, is that it basically is a way to aggregate all other related WhatsApp groups. So we have, as far as I know, we have about maybe 47 or 48 WhatsApp groups of CEGians in various different forms, geographically based, interest based, or etc. All that. And there are many who have their own batch groups as well. I'm not even counting the batch groups. I'm just counting geographically based, like Singapore and Middle East you mentioned, in the US, in UK, etc. All that, and interest like startups and who are in jobs, who are in crypto, who are in social work, etc. All that. So the CEG community is something that we have already created, and we are enrolling all those people who are managing groups to join the community. What that does is that we get one point shop for communicating across the board. So if I post a message in the CEG community, then it goes to every single person in every single group that's part of the community. So we have a lot of reach directly. Yeah, so we have already started that. So any of you who are managing WhatsApp groups that belong to CEGians and anything to do with CEG, please reach out to myself or Shankar Shivan or Deepak Chambat. Many of us are audience or admins in that. We will make you an admin so you can add your groups to the community, because we can't add unless you are the one who's going to add your own groups. So please let us know if you have any groups you manage. We can certainly add you to the community, and we can add your groups. That way we can create a thing. Right now, I think we have close to 2,500 people in the community. And we think it's a lot more than that. A lot of people are adding their batches slowly. And so we are going to try to make it as big as possible, as quickly as possible. But please do add when you you can reach out to us and tell us if you have any groups to add. Okay. So we have come to very close to the end of the session, Ran. I'm just trying to see if any questions are there. I don't see any questions in the line so far. So if you want to make any closing comments, couple of minutes before we sign off, that will be welcome, Sam.
Yes, so I
So go ahead.
Sorry,
Subbu, you want to
this is Rajaram. So
yeah,
I
please.
think we had exchanged some messages about the carbon footprint, right?
Yeah.
So in the recent times, I mean, I was in Germany about a couple of weeks before, and so we are collaborating with a local startup in Lake Constance. So they are more, they have a lean ERP and they're more focusing on manufacturing and supply chain today, right? And they have a way to calculate the carbon footprint, right? CO2 footprint, and and it needs a lot of input from the customer and the supplier because they know their product well, right? And so, I mean, I felt that this product could be extended to any kind of any other software product or any kind of domain also, whether it is even for a simple software which is used for developing a particular product, right? Could be an CAD software, could be data warehouse or anything of that sort. So we all use computers, we all use laptops or mobile phones for exchanging emails and different kind of software. So that's something that we are working with them, right? But then if you need any kind of input, I could also talk to this startup and then connect you and them, right? So that you
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
collaborate and maybe, and there are websites like GHG, greenhouse gases,
Yeah,
right? And My Climate, then SAP has started something like, I think, Climate 21, if I'm not wrong, right? So there are many such initiatives going on at different regions by different software companies. And I'm sure, like you said, so um, in on one side, we are very instinctive uh, nation, right, where we take a lot of decisions on our own, and we also contribute to a lot of pollution and everything, right? And uh, Adda kind of apartment Adda kind of softwares actually touches the uh, lowest lowest of the ecosystem, right? Not the companies. We as individuals, we contribute a lot, good and bad, to the system ecosystem. So I think making this uh, message reach to the lowest level of the ecosystem is very, very important, right?
absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
I would be happy to connect you with them. Maybe they are a 5-year-old startup, right? So, and they are doing well in terms of building the product. They have not reached a lot of customers so far. They are only in Germany today, and they would be happy to collaborate. And if they could reach more customers in India, they'll be really happy to develop this
Would love to
solution with them.
collaborate.
Yeah.
Sure.
So maybe if others are also interested in taking any help from this company, I would be happy to share the information and then connect
You can
the
probably
parties who are interested.
you can probably post that in the WhatsApp group, Rajaram. That way, a
Sure.
lot of people who want to join, because we encourage people to talk, share things like this. I know SAP, I think a couple of weeks ago, released a new solution where you can measure the
I think
carbon
he only had
footprint.
shared the link. I think Rajaram, you shared that SAP link, right?
Uh,
Right.
yeah,
Yes, I did
yeah,
that. So,
sure.
I mean, there are a lot of such initiatives going on, even within Siemens also, which was my employer before I started the company, right? So
Correct.
they are also doing in the space of EHS, environment, health, and safety,
Yeah,
right? So they are also doing. So there are a lot of such initiatives going on. I think if we can take it to the ecosystem, which will hit more parties, that is even more important, right? So that, yeah, so
sure.
common man will be the uh, most easiest to sensitize, and probably they do not have a lot to gain out of being disciplined, right? So being disciplined will help the environment, but then being self-disciplined will help the environment, but the individuals are not going to gain a lot directly. They'll
Correct.
definitely gain indirectly, right? So that message has to go to the lowest of the ecosystem.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think good idea, very good idea. So, San, do you want to do any closing remarks before we? I need a minute after you finish your closing remarks before we close the session. So, take it away for 2 minutes.
It is just my usual request to everyone who's still here that please promote CEG, not Anna University. It, it's very large. CEG is also large, but we are losing all these great CEGians who are
Right,
there under the name of Anna University on their LinkedIn.
right.
So please, in on your own LinkedIn, within your batch, whoever you meet during your get-togethers, please let's each of us become that ambassador to uphold the CG brand, and the kind of benefits that we can give out to each other as part of this huge alumni network. A very discerning alumni network is tremendous. So a lot of work has happened over the last decade. I think it has to go to the next orbit now.
Yeah. Thank you, San. Thank you for your time for joining. So, I would like to close the session by asking for a few requests from you guys. Obviously, this program has been going on for the last 17 months. Actually, we had one show every month for the last 17 months. We have done a lot of changes to the program based on feedback from our audience. So if you guys have any feedback or ideas for improvement, or if you want to work and collaborate with us, we are very welcome to have anyone to help us and improve the program. The original intent of the program was actually targeted towards students and young alumni. But what I'm recognizing in the last 17 sessions is that we have a lot more other alumni joining than young alumni and students. So there is obviously something missing, that is we're not able to reach the students. Because my initial thought when I started this program is that a lot of our students and young alumni don't know much about our alumni are, where they are and what they are doing. And when I went and asked the students in college last year, many of them did not know anything about any of our alumni actually. So, and many said that we would like to now reach out to our alumni. So, can you do something about it? And this program actually came out of that thought process, that why don't we introduce some alumni who are doing well in their respective fields, so people can get inspired, connect with them, network with them. What has happened is that students haven't joined much. They do join on and off. Young alumni join on and off. But after the program is over, we put this CD videos in YouTube. I see a lot of hits in YouTube. A lot of people send me questions, post the event on YouTube after they watching the YouTube about questions they want to ask the speaker, which I normally send it to the speaker and they answer the question. The second thing I also heard from all the speakers so far is that they get a lot of LinkedIn requests after they come to the program. So people are watching and they want to reach out to the speaker and want to connect with them. So San, you may get a lot of LinkedIn requests after this program is over. So be ready for it, because one of them told me that he got like about 200 requests in one day or something like that after watching the program. So that's a good thing. Now we want to make connections happen. So one of the objectives of the program is also to make connections happen between CEG. And so feel free to send your request, send your feedback to us on how to improve the program. We do want to improve the program further. There is also another program which is offered as part of CEG Connect, called CEG Field Insights. What Field Insights does is I pick a CEGN who's expert in one particular domain. So we had sessions in the last 1 year about programs on electric vehicles, crypto, sustainability. We had one on weather forecasting. We had one on aviation business. I'm going to do one next month on cybersecurity. One of our alumni based in the US, he's an expert in cybersecurity. He's actually an advisor to the US government on cybersecurity. And so I'm going to bring him on next month at a date which I haven't fixed yet to do. So CEG Field Insights is also one of the programs that is offered as part of CEG Connect. I would like you guys to come and watch that program also. And we do have the previous sessions recorded for that as well. Like that, we are creating newer programs. CEG Career Connect is a new one we created, and there are a few others in the pipeline that we are working on. So I would like to hear feedback from you on what other programs we can create. How do you improve the existing programs? How do we reach students and get them to participate? Because at the end of the day, they would, in my opinion, they would be the ones who benefit the most. But for some reason, the message is either not getting to them or they're not acting on it, which is something that I don't know how to solve. So if you guys have any good ideas how to do so. One person, Girish Ramdas, told me in a session that why don't you do a live session in CEG, one of those things, make an audience and provide food, they'll definitely come. Okay, that's one idea. Maybe I should try that idea and maybe do one of the sessions live with some speaker there. And KK Krishna Kumar Natarajan is offered to be my guest actually, from the founder of Mindtree is offered to be my guest. So most likely I'll put him on the next month's session for a guest speaker. But there are many. Krishnamachari Srikanth is also given his okay to be a guest in the session, but he hasn't given a date yet, unfortunately. So we are looking at a lot of big speakers all over the world. Entrepreneurs, corporate executives, academic leaders, even bureaucrats, IAS officers, etc. So if you guys know of anyone from CEG network, your batch, other batches, who you think might be a good person to put as a speaker, I would like to hear that as well. So I can add them to the list. Right now, I have a list of about 300 speakers from CEG. Right, all of them are done very well in their career, superstars, etc. But I would like to add more to the list and mix and match between US, India, entrepreneur, corporate, academic, men, women, young, old, all kinds of stuff. So if I have more names on the list, I can circulate them much better and do that. So that's all I had to say. Please send your feedback. Thank you for joining on a Saturday evening, Saturday morning from all over the world. San, again, thank you for your time. It was an excellent session. I knew some of what you said, but I didn't know everything. So today was the first time I heard the entire story. And it was quite fascinating and quite interesting and quite inspiring as well. So thank you so much for joining. And if you have any further feedback, you can certainly send WhatsApp to me or reach out to me by email. Okay.
Sir,
Thank you,
you
guys.
Supposed to have
Yeah.
a session with the AJB sir as well. We should invite him.
Yes, absolutely. AJP is very much on my list. Very, very much on my list, actually.
No. I don't have anything great, interesting thing to say.
That's not for, sorry,
You
Yeshi, that's not for you to decide. That's for us to decide. AJB is very much on the list, actually. Very, very much on the list. I am doing the circulation from men to women. So last session was with Gurusamy, who's a guy from Penlon in UK. So now I went to woman Indian entrepreneur. So San is the name. next I'm looking for someone outside India, entrepreneur or executive. So I try to circulate that, but AJB is there in that list to be scheduled very soon as well. Okay, thanks,
That
Partha,
Thank
that
you.
for
would
that.
be a great session, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Be
exactly,
wonderful.
Oh,
exactly.
We are looking forward, AJB, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
let
Sorry, thank you
me,
guys for
let
your
me cook
joining.
up something then.
Yeah, yeah.
Always,
You can just tell your
always need your help on the crossroads that come through.
just say tell your life story, AJB. I heard that before, so that would be a great story to hear. Actually, for most people, they would get some value out of that. For those of you who don't know, AJB was a entrepreneur and got venture capital in 1990s, early 90s, when venture capital was not even known in India at the time. So he obviously has a lot of experience in entrepreneurship and startups, etc. All that. So definitely would love to hear from him at some
So
point.
if you want to really hear about a failed story, I think that would be an interesting story then.
Well, I think, to be honest, AJB, in fact, we want to encourage people to not only talk about what they did, what they couldn't do also. That's probably a bigger learning, I think. I would say a lot of people will relate to that actually, more than someone saying what they achieved. Okay? A lot of the entrepreneurs have gone through that. They figure they're the only ones who had it, but a lot of others had it. And if somebody talks about it, it'll be therapeutic, I think, to hear from someone who went through that and who succeeded in that. So I think that's a great way to start your thing, saying that I'm going to tell you about my things that I didn't do well, and then how people can learn from that. You could start to do that actually. That might be your theme. That could be your theme. And what are the learnings from that, and what can you do about that? Right.
Yeah.
Excellent, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Unless there are any further questions, we will close the session, and the recording will be available in YouTube channel CEG Connect in the next couple of days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye
Vish.
bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.